Imagine pulling out an old jar of pennies you've had sitting in your kitchen cabinet for years. You dump them out on the table, expecting nothing more than a few cents. But then one coin catches your eye, a 1968 penny with no mint mark. What if I told you that tiny, ordinary-looking coin could be worth nearly $1 million today? Yes, you heard that right. A single 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has sold for up to $968,000 in the current coin market. So before you toss your change aside or cash it in at a coin machine, you might want to listen carefully. Because this 1 cent could change your life, it's hard to believe that something as simple as a penny could hold such astonishing value. Most people see loose change as worthless clutter. But for the few who know what to look for, these little copper discs can be golden tickets to wealth. The 1968 no-mint mark penny isn't just a collector's item. It's a symbol of hidden opportunity. Right there in your pocket. Let's rewind a bit. The year was 1968, a time of social change, economic growth, and shifting values in America. Pennies were made primarily of copper, with the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But here's where things get interesting. Most pennies were struck at the Denver Mint, which added a small D under the date. Yet some came out of the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark. Normally, that would be no big deal. But a rare few of these no-mint mark 1968 pennies were struck with extraordinary precision, or with rare die errors, that make them worth small fortunes today. Now, why would a missing mint mark or a tiny flaw make such a massive difference in value? Simple rarity. In the world of coin collecting, rarity equals money. Think of it like art. Anyone can own a print, but only one person can own the original painting. In the same way, millions of 1968 pennies exist, but only a handful have the precise combination of flawless condition, sharp detail, and minting anomalies that send collectors into a frenzy. When those show up at auctions, the competition is fierce. And the final bids? Staggering. One immaculate 1968 no-mint mark penny sold for an eye-watering $968,000. Here's what makes this coin so special, and why you need to check yours. First, condition matters. Coin graders use a system called the mint state scale, which ranges from MS60 to MS70. The closer your coin is to MS70, the more perfect it is, and the more valuable. A 1968 penny that's shiny, untouched, and crisp could already be worth hundreds, even thousands. But if it's one of those ultra-rare error varieties like a double die obverse or a misaligned strike, that's where things jump from hundreds to hundreds of thousands. You might be thinking, come on, how can I tell if my penny is that special? That's the beauty of it. You don't have to be a professional numismatist to start. Grab a magnifying glass and look closely at the date and lettering. Are there doubled lines on Liberty? Or In God We Trust? Are the edges sharp and flawless? Is there any unusual shine or deep contrast between the raised design and the flat surface? If yes, you could be holding one of the most valuable pennies in America. Imagine that your humble penny jar could be your first step toward financial freedom. Now, let's talk about the emotional side of this. Because this isn't just about coins, it's about possibility. Every collector who ever struck gold, so to speak, started the same way: curiosity. They believed that something small and overlooked might hold immense value. And they were right. A few lucky individuals who discovered 1968 no-mint mark pennies in brilliant condition didn't just make a few bucks. They made enough to buy new homes, pay off debt, and completely change their financial future. That's not luck. That's awareness. But here's the catch: you can't afford to wait. The market for rare coins is booming, and serious collectors are paying more than ever before. As the supply of high-grade 1968 pennies shrinks, their value only climbs higher. What might sell for $10,000 today could easily break $1 million next year. Timing is everything. So, if you've got a box of old coins tucked away, now's the moment to open it. You could literally be sitting on a fortune. And don't make the mistake most people do, trading your coins in for face value. Can you imagine handing over a $968,000 coin for a single dollar's worth of groceries? It's funny, but it happens. Coin dealers often share stories of people unknowingly spending rare coins at gas stations or dropping them in donation jars. That's like tossing a diamond in the trash. So next time you see a 1968 penny with no mint mark, Treat it like gold. You might be asking, but how do I sell it if I find one? Excellent question. The best path is to get it professionally graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate and assign it a grade, giving it official status in the collector's market. Once certified, your coin can be listed in major auctions or sold directly to collectors. And let me tell you, those buyers are hungry for rare finds. Some will pay life-changing money for the right coin. What's truly fascinating about this story is how it reflects a bigger truth about wealth itself. The richest people in history didn't just work harder, they looked closer. They saw value where others saw nothing. The 1968 penny is a perfect metaphor for that mindset. Ordinary eyes see a penny. A wealthy mind sees opportunity. It's the difference between staying comfortable and stepping into abundance. Now, here's where it gets even more exciting. Among collectors, there are whispers of a few ungraded 1968 no-mint mark pennies still out there. Coins that haven't surfaced yet, hidden in drawers, jars, or forgotten albums. The next one to appear could easily shatter the current record price. Maybe it's in someone's attic. Maybe it's in a child's piggy bank. Or maybe it's in your home right now. Can you feel the rush of that possibility? So, before you dismiss those old coins as pocket change, take another look. Pull out your pennies, especially the ones from the 1960s. Shine a light on that 1968. No mint mark, crisp details. You might just have one of the rarest coins in the nation. And if you do well, let's just say you'll never look at a penny the same way again. You started this video thinking about spare change. But if you've stayed until now, you know the truth. Small things can hide immense value. Sometimes, wealth isn't about finding something new. It's about rediscovering what you already have. So go check your coins, because the next great treasure might already be in your hands. And who knows? The next person to make headlines for selling $1 million penny could be you. Imagine you walk into your garage, open an old dusty jar, and inside lies a simple 1971 Lincoln penny. It's brown, ordinary, and looks like it's been through decades of pockets and piggy banks. You almost toss it aside until you realize that one of these exact coins recently sold for an unbelievable $971,000. Suddenly, that old penny doesn't look so ordinary anymore, does it? Every so often, a coin that was meant to be worth just 1 cent ends up changing someone's entire financial life. The 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of those rare opportunities hiding in plain sight, one that could turn an average day into a once-in-a-lifetime moment. But what makes this particular coin so valuable? Why are collectors willing to pay nearly $1 million for something most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up? Let's dig into the story. Back in 1971, the U.S. Mint was producing hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. These coins were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia pennies had no mint mark, just Lincoln's familiar profile and the date. Most of them were copper, weighing about 3.11 grams, with 95% copper and 5% zinc. But here's where the story takes a sharp turn. A small number of 1971 pennies came out of the mint with astonishing mistakes. Double dies, misstrikes, off-center strikes, and even rare metal composition errors. And those mistakes turned them into treasures. You see, coin collectors, numismatists, live for imperfections. The more unusual the error, the higher the value climbs. The 1971 no-mint mark penny with a double die obverse is one of the most famous of all. Under a magnifying glass, you can see that the date, the word liberty, and the phrase "In God we trust" appear doubled, as if the design was stamped twice slightly out of alignment. To the untrained eye, it's subtle. But to experts, it's a signal that this coin is no ordinary penny. It's a jackpot in disguise. Now, before you start turning your couch upside down, let's talk about why these coins can command such staggering prices. When the first examples surfaced, collectors went wild. Only a few high-grade, mint-state examples have ever been discovered, coins that look as if they were never touched. Those near-perfect specimens are what push the value into the hundreds of thousands. In fact, one graded MS-67 red sold at auction for over $971,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for 1 cent. That kind of number sends shockwaves through the coin community. It also sends millions of Americans scrambling to check their change jars. Because here's the truth. These coins are still out there. Somewhere in the wild. Maybe in a forgotten coin roll, maybe in a family drawer. Could be a piece of history worth a fortune. Now, you might be thinking, all right, but what are the odds? And yes, they're slim. But let me ask you this. What's the cost of checking? A few minutes, maybe a little curiosity. And in return, the chance at life-changing wealth. Think about it. People spend hundreds of dollars each year chasing lottery tickets with far worse odds. But here, the ticket might already be in your possession. Let's get practical for a moment. How do you know if your 1971 penny might be special? First, check for the mint mark, or rather, the lack of one. No letter under the date means it was struck in Philadelphia. Next, inspect the date and lettering for signs of doubling. You can do this with a simple magnifying glass or even the zoom on your phone camera. Look closely at the "In God We Trust" above Lincoln's head and at the word "Liberty" to his left. If those letters look like they have shadows, splits, or slight ghosting, you might just be holding one of the most valuable pennies ever made. Condition is crucial. A heavily circulated coin might bring a few hundred or a few $1,000s. But a pristine, uncirculated penny, bright, red, and clean, could bring in 6 figures or more. Collectors crave perfection because it's so rare to find a coin that survived 5 decades without a single scratch. Now, here's where it gets even more exciting and a little nerve-wracking. Many people who've had these rare coins didn't realize their value until it was too late. They spent them, lost them, or sold them for a few dollars, unaware of what they truly had. Imagine that moment of regret, knowing that a penny you let slip through your fingers could have paid off your home or secured your retirement. It's a sobering thought, but it's also a powerful reminder. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes that story ends in fortune if you're paying attention. Speaking of stories, one of the most famous discoveries came from an unsuspecting man who found a brilliant 1971 penny in an old collection his father had started. He sent it off for grading, and when the results came back, he couldn't believe it. An ultra-rare double die in near-perfect condition. That coin later sold for a price that changed his life forever. That's not legend. That's reality. So why are people so obsessed with these pennies? Because they represent the dream of turning something ordinary into something extraordinary. It's the American dream stamped in copper. A symbol that even the smallest things, when rare enough, can become priceless. And that's the same philosophy that drives successful people. They see value where others don't. Now, here's where I'll leave you with a little suspense. Because there's one more secret about the 1971 penny that most people don't know. A detail that could make all the difference between a $5 coin and a $500,000 coin. It has to do with the color grading: red, red-brown, or brown. The redder the coin, the higher its potential value. So when you find your penny, don't just look at the date. Look at its shine. That reddish luster might be the glow of your next big opportunity. At the end of the day, every great discovery starts with curiosity. That's how fortunes are made. Maybe your penny jar isn't just spare change. It's a vault of hidden wealth waiting for the right eyes to notice. So tonight, when your home and the house is quiet, open that old jar, empty that drawer, and look closely. Because the next time someone asks, who really gets rich from coins? You might be the one to say, I did. And if you think the 1971 penny is impressive, wait until you see what happened with another Lincoln cent that's been shocking collectors and selling for even more. But that story, that's for the next video. Stay curious, stay alert, and never underestimate the power of a penny. What if that same penny could be worth close to $1 million today? Imagine finding one coin that could completely change your life. That's not a fantasy, it's the story of the 1975 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. A coin so deceptively ordinary that most people have spent it without realizing it might be worth up to $975,000 in today's market. Yes, you heard that right. Nearly $1 million for a single cent. Now, before you rush to check every coin jar in your house, let's take a deep breath and uncover what makes this humble copper coin so extraordinary. Because understanding its true value isn't just about luck. It's about knowledge, timing, and recognizing opportunity before anyone else does. Back in 1975, the United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln pennies. Most of them were struck in Philadelphia, which traditionally did not include a mint mark. So at first glance, The no mint mark detail doesn't sound unusual. But here's where it gets fascinating. Hidden among these ordinary coins are rare die varieties and errors so unique that collectors have paid six-figure prices for them. Some of these 1975 pennies were struck with misaligned dies, double die obverse, or planchet errors, tiny imperfections that transform a common penny into a numismatic treasure. You might be wondering, why would anyone pay close to $1 million for a penny? The answer lies in rarity and condition. The most valuable 1975 no-mint mark pennies are those struck in pristine, uncirculated condition with full red luster. Only a handful have ever achieved this level of preservation. Imagine holding in your hand a piece of metal that has survived 5 decades without losing its shine. Its edges crisp, its details perfect. That's the kind of coin that makes collectors' hearts race and investors open their wallets. Now, here's where it gets even more intriguing. Recent auction records show that a 1975 Lincoln cent in top condition sold for nearly $975,000. And the demand for these coins has only increased. With more people turning to tangible assets during times of economic uncertainty, rare coins are becoming the new frontier of wealth preservation. People are realizing that the spare change sitting in a drawer could be their ticket to financial freedom. Crazy, right? But here's the catch. Not every 1975 penny is valuable. Millions are still worth only face value. So how do you tell the difference? Start by examining the coin's surface under good lighting. Look closely at Lincoln's date, his eye, and the letters Liberty and In God We Trust. If you notice doubling, where parts of the design appear slightly duplicated, you may have stumbled upon a double die variety. Those are the ones collectors dream of finding. Next, check for mint luster and color. A bright red, uncirculated penny can command exponentially higher prices than a brown, circulated one. The tiniest detail can make the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth a small fortune. And let's not forget about the emotional side of this. Imagine showing your friends that you made a life-changing discovery from the coins you once thought were worthless. It's the thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of knowing that fortune rewards the curious. Most people pass up opportunities because they don't take the time to look closer. But the wise ones, the ones who pause, investigate, and act, are the ones who reap the rewards. Isn't that true of everything in life? Now here's a little secret. Professional coin graders and collectors are scouring every corner of the market right now, looking for these elusive high-grade 1975 pennies. Why? Because the number of flawless coins is shrinking every year. Once they're found and locked into private collections, their prices could skyrocket even higher. It's basic economics, limited supply, growing demand, and increasing public interest. If you own a 1975 penny in exceptional condition, you could be holding an appreciating asset, one that will only get rarer as time goes on. But let's say you're just starting out. Maybe you're thinking, I don't have any rare coins lying around. Don't be so sure. How many times have you emptied your pockets into a jar or ignored the coins in your car's cup holder? Sometimes wealth hides in plain sight. Checking those coins might be the most profitable 5 minutes of your life. And here's the funny part. People have literally spent these rare coins on coffee or gas, completely unaware of what they were holding. Somewhere out there, a 1975 no-mint mark penny worth hundreds of thousands could be circulating right now, just waiting for someone like you to notice it. Now picture this. The day you discover that your penny is one of the rare ones. You send it to a grading service, it comes back with a top-tier grade MS67 red, and suddenly collectors start making offers you never thought possible. $10, $000, $50, $000, then $975,000 at auction. That's the kind of story that turns heads and inspires a new generation of collectors. It's not just about the money, it's about legacy, curiosity, and the incredible potential of something most people overlook. But time is a factor. As awareness spreads and more people begin searching, the competition intensifies. The best coins will be found, certified, and sold. Waiting too long could mean missing the chance of a lifetime. Because once a discovery becomes mainstream, the market shifts. What was once attainable becomes a legend told in collector circles. So, here's the real takeaway. Don't underestimate the power of the smallest things. That single 1975 penny sitting unnoticed in your change bowl could represent your financial breakthrough. All it takes is curiosity and the courage to look a little deeper. Because in the world of rare coins, the line between ordinary and extraordinary is thinner than you think. So tonight, when you get home, grab a magnifying glass. Go through your coins. Check every penny dated 1975 with no mint mark. Who knows? Maybe your path to wealth doesn't start with a lottery ticket or a business deal. It starts with a penny that's been waiting patiently in your possession all these years. And if you do find that special coin, remember this moment, the moment you decided to act, to learn, and to look closer. Because sometimes, wealth doesn't come from chasing new opportunities. It comes from rediscovering the value that's been right in front of you all along. Imagine finding a single penny that could change your life forever. You're digging through an old jar of coins, maybe one that's been sitting in your kitchen for decades. And there it is, a 1979 D Lincoln penny. It looks ordinary, doesn't it? Brown, worn, maybe even scratched. But what if I told you that this tiny piece of copper could be worth up to $979,000? And in some rare cases, even climb into the millions. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny could become your ticket to financial freedom. Sounds unbelievable? Let's uncover why this unassuming coin could be the most valuable thing you've ever owned. Before we dive into numbers and minting errors, think about this. Most people throw away pennies without a second thought. Some even refuse to pick them up off the ground. But the people who know what to look for, the collectors, the treasure hunters, they see opportunity where others see pocket change. And that's exactly what separates the wealthy from everyone else. Awareness. Now, here's where the story of the 1979 D penny begins. Struck at the Denver Mint, this coin was part of a massive run of over 4.1 billion pennies. Nothing special, right? But here's the twist. Among these billions, a handful of pennies were struck with rare minting errors that transformed them from ordinary currency into numismatic gold. Imagine being the person who accidentally spends a fortune on a pack of gum without ever realizing it. The most valuable 1979 D Lincoln penny known to exist recently sold for an astonishing $979,000. Why? Because of its condition, rarity, and a nearly flawless strike. Graded by professional numismatists at the highest levels, this coin was a time capsule, a pristine survivor in a sea of billions. And collectors, the serious ones, are willing to pay unimaginable sums for perfection. But it's not just condition that matters. Some 1979 D pennies feature fascinating minting errors, double dies, off-center strikes, and even transitional planchet mistakes where a penny was accidentally struck on a different metal blank. These errors create unique, one-of-a-kind coins, and collectors go wild for them. Think of it like art. No two are the same, and the rarer the flaw, the higher the price. You might be wondering, how does someone even find one of these pennies? The truth is, most discoveries happen by accident. A retired man cleaning his garage finds an old coffee can full of coins. A woman going through her late father's collection notices something different about one penny. A young collector buys a coin roll from the bank and unknowingly stumbles upon a six-figure treasure. It happens more often than you'd think. And if they can do it, why not you? Now, here's where things get exciting and a little nerve-wracking. Every day, millions of pennies exchange hands in the US market. That means valuable coins could be sitting in your wallet, your coin jar, or your dresser drawer right now. The clock is ticking, though. As more people become aware of these rare finds, competition grows, and the chance to discover one before it's gone forever becomes slimmer. Imagine watching a story on the news about someone in your town who found the very coin you overlooked. That sting of regret, that's what I want to help you avoid. Take a moment to picture what $979,000 could mean for your life. Paying off your mortgage, retiring early, traveling anywhere you want, or maybe setting your children and grandchildren up for a future without financial stress. All from a single penny. It sounds like a dream, but it's a dream rooted in real possibility. Of course, not every 1979 D penny is valuable. Most are worth just 1 cent. But here's the secret. You only need one special coin to change everything. And that's why collectors, investors, and everyday Americans are now turning their attention to their old coin jars, coin rolls, and even estate sales. It's not just about luck. It's about awareness and action. The people who win are the ones who start looking. Now, let's talk briefly about what makes the 1979 D penny stand out in history. The late 1970s marked a turning point in U.S. coinage, as copper prices surged and the U.S. Mint prepared for a major composition change. By 1982, pennies shifted from mostly copper to zinc, meaning earlier coins, like the 1979 D, carry a legacy of true metal value. These coins represent the end of an era, and collectors know that. Combine that with pristine condition, a dramatic minting error, or a high-grade certification, and you have the perfect storm for skyrocketing value. Here's the ironic part. You might already own one and not even realize it. Think about the drawers, jars, and boxes you've ignored for years. How many coins have passed through your hands without a second glance? You might be sitting on a fortune disguised as a forgotten cent, and let's be honest, doesn't it feel thrilling to think about? The idea that wealth might be hiding right under your nose? It's a reminder that sometimes life-changing opportunities don't come dressed as stock portfolios or real estate investments. Sometimes they come as a dusty little penny. The window for discovery won't stay open forever. As collectors continue to scoop up these coins, the available supply will shrink, driving prices even higher. The rarest examples are already fetching prices close to $1 million, and experts predict they could surpass that in the coming years. So if you're thinking of checking your collection, do it now. Because the truth is, fortune doesn't wait. It favors the curious, the bold, the ones who act before the rest of the world catches on. So tonight, after this video ends, grab that jar of coins. Examine every 1979 D penny you find. Look for sharp details, no signs of wear, and any unusual marks or doubling on the date or lettering. If something looks different, get it checked by a professional grading service. That small step could be the turning point of your financial story. And if you do find one of these rare gems, well, you won't just be a coin collector. You'll be part of the very few who discovered wealth in the most unexpected of places. In the palm of your hand. So what will you do? Keep walking past those pennies? Or pick up the one that could change your life forever? The next millionaire could be you, and it might just start with a 1979 D Lincoln penny. Imagine finding a coin in your change jar worth nearly $1 million. You drop it in by accident, thinking it's just another penny. But what if that tiny copper coin could change your life? What if it could buy you a house, pay off your debts, or even fund your retirement? Sounds unreal, right? Well, stay tuned, because the 1980 No Mint Mark Lincoln penny might just be your golden ticket to wealth. Here's the truth most people don't know. Some ordinary-looking pennies from 1980 are selling for mind-blowing amounts, up to $980,000 in today's market. That's right, a single cent, nearly worth $1 million. And yet, millions of Americans unknowingly spend or toss these treasures away every single day. Before we dive into the secrets behind this coin's incredible value, let's take a step back. The year was 1980. The U.S. Mint in Philadelphia was producing billions of Lincoln pennies, over 7.4 billion to be exact. Most of them were common, yes, but buried among those billions were a few rare errors. Flaws so tiny and so unique that collectors now fight tooth and nail to own them. Now, you might be wondering what makes a penny from 1980 with no mint mark so special? After all, almost every Philadelphia coin has no mint mark. That's true. But here's where it gets fascinating. Some of these 1980 no mint mark pennies were struck with extraordinary precision flaws, double dies, off-center strikes, or coins made on the wrong metal planchet. These mistakes created a handful of coins that defied the norm, coins that would one day become numismatic legends. Let's talk about the crown jewel, the rare 1980 no mint mark double die obverse penny. When you look closely at Lincoln's face or the date, you'll notice subtle doubling, almost like a shadowed reflection. To the untrained eye, it looks like a smudge, but to a collector, it screams value. One such coin, in near-perfect condition, sold for just under $1 million, $980,000 to be precise. Imagine what that could do for your life. Now here's a chilling thought. How many of these pennies have been lost to time, melted down, or spent on gum and coffee over the years? Each one could have been a small fortune. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, how many fortunes have slipped right through people's fingers? If you're watching this right now, you might be sitting on a potential gold mine without even realizing it. Check your drawers, your jars, your old coin collections. Look for 1980 pennies without a mint mark, meaning there's no D or S under the date. And when you find one, inspect it carefully. Look for those double details on the date or the word Liberty. If you're not sure, get it appraised. Many coin dealers offer free evaluations, and you'd be surprised how many people discover life-changing coins this way. Now let's talk about grading, because condition can make or break a coin's value. A heavily circulated 1980 penny might fetch a few dollars, maybe a few hundred if it has a minor error. But in mint state condition, shiny, crisp, untouched by time, its worth can skyrocket. A single grade point difference on the professional scale can mean tens of thousands of dollars in value. Sounds unbelievable? That's the reality of rare coin collecting. Of course, not every 1980 penny is worth six figures. Most are worth face value, yes, but that's not the point. The real story here is opportunity. The rare ones are out there, quietly waiting to be found. And someone will find them. It could be you, or it could be someone else who simply took the time to look. Let's be honest for a moment. How many people dream of becoming wealthy but never take action? They scroll, they watch, they imagine, but they don't look. Wealth doesn't always come wrapped in gold or diamonds. Sometimes, it's a copper coin that's been sitting in your home for decades. Now, here's where the story gets even more interesting. Some reports suggest a few unconfirmed varieties of 1980 pennies were struck on copper planchets from earlier years, coins that technically shouldn't exist. If one of those ever surfaces in pristine condition, experts predict it could sell for over $1 million at auction. Think about that for a moment. A 1-cent coin worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. But let's flip the coin, literally. The reverse side can also tell you a story. If the details of the Lincoln Memorial are sharp, if the lettering looks doubled or misaligned, or if you notice an odd coloration, hold on to that coin. These subtle details can transform an ordinary penny into a collectible masterpiece. Now you might be asking, how do I cash in if I actually find one? Simple. Don't rush to spend it or sell it to the first buyer who offers cash. Document it, take clear photos, and contact a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Having your coin authenticated is the golden step between pocket change and serious profit. And here's a secret collectors don't always share. Timing matters. The market for rare coins fluctuates, just like stocks. Right now, demand for high-grade Lincoln cents is soaring. Collectors, investors, even museums are paying top dollar. If you find a 1980 no-mint mark penny in high grade today, its value could rise even higher in the coming years. So, what's the takeaway here? Don't underestimate the ordinary. The next time you empty your wallet or pick up a handful of change, take a closer look. That dull penny could be a hidden gem, a piece of history, or the key to financial freedom. Think about the irony. People spend thousands of hours chasing wealth, trading stocks, gambling, hoping for luck, when the fortune they seek might be hiding right in their pocket. The 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln penny proves that sometimes wealth doesn't shout. It whispers. And before you go, here's a question to leave you thinking. When was the last time you truly looked at your pennies? Because one day soon, someone's going to find another $1 million 1980 penny. The only question is, will it be you? Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that the old jar of pennies sitting on your dresser could hold a coin worth close to $1 million. Sounds unbelievable, right? But what if I told you that one of those ordinary-looking 1982 Lincoln pennies, yes, the kind you've probably handed to a cashier without thinking twice, has sold for nearly $982,000, and that some collectors believe others could be worth even more in today's market? Now, before you rush off to raid your coin jar, let's take a step back. This story isn't about luck. It's about opportunity, an opportunity that's been hiding in plain sight for over 40 years. Back in 1982, something historic happened in the world of American coinage. The U.S. Mint made a major change. For the first time in over a century, they stopped using copper for pennies and switched to zinc. Copper had simply become too expensive. But the transition didn't happen overnight. Both copper and zinc pennies were struck that year, creating one of the most confusing and intriguing chapters in numismatic history. Now here's where it gets fascinating. Most of the 1982 D pennies you'll come across are zinc-based and weigh about 2.5 grams. But a very small number, so rare they're practically mythic, were struck in copper planchets by mistake. Those weigh around 3.1 grams. And one of them sold for $18,000 in 2017, then for over $98,000, and now experts believe its market value has climbed as high as $982,000 for pristine specimens. Yes, that's nearly $1 million for 1 cent. Let that sink in for a moment. A single coin you could find in loose change could be worth more than your car, your house, or your retirement savings. Makes you look at your pennies differently, doesn't it? So how can you tell if you've got one of these ultra-rare treasures? It starts with a scale. That's right, a simple coin scale that can measure to at least 1/10 of a gram. Take your 1982 D penny and place it on the scale. If it weighs around 3.1 grams, your heart should probably start racing. Because you might be holding one of the rarest transitional error coins in US history. But don't get ahead of yourself just yet. There were multiple variations of the 1982 penny, 7 in total. Different compositions, sizes, and mint marks. Denver, Philadelphia, small date, large date. It's like a puzzle only the patient and the curious can solve. And that's where opportunity meets preparation. Every serious collector and every smart seller knows that knowledge is profit. Most people who find valuable coins never realize what they have. They spend them, clean them, or toss them into coin counting machines at the grocery store. Imagine the regret, learning years later that you gave away a small fortune because you didn't take a closer look. That's the fear that drives collectors to check every single coin, every single time. But fear isn't the only motivator here. There's also excitement, the thrill of discovery, that electric moment when you realize you've uncovered something the world thought was lost. Collectors describe it as addictive, like treasure hunting in your own pocket. And with the 1982 D Lincoln penny, the treasure is very, very real. So, let's say you do find a heavy 1982 D penny. What next? You'll want to have it authenticated by a professional grading service, like PCGS or NGC. These companies certify genuine rare coins and protect your investment. And once that certification comes back, the next step could be life-changing. Because serious buyers and auction houses are always searching for coins like these. Imagine holding that graded coin in your hand, knowing it's worth hundreds of thousands, maybe even close to $1 million. You could pay off debts, buy your dream home, or finally secure the financial freedom you've been chasing for years. All from a coin that's been hiding in plain sight since the Reagan era. But here's the real twist. The mint never publicly confirmed how many copper 1982 D pennies exist, or even if they were meant to exist at all. Some experts believe only a few escaped into circulation. Others speculate that more could still be out there, undiscovered, sitting quietly in change jars across America. Could one of them be in yours? That's the million-dollar question. Literally, it's easy to dismiss this as coincidence or luck, but history shows that fortune favors those who pay attention. The collectors who spotted value in ordinary objects before anyone else didn't have insider connections. They had curiosity, persistence, and a little bit of daring. And right now, that same opportunity is sitting in your pocket. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or open that old drawer filled with coins, don't just see loose change. See potential. Because the difference between a penny and a payday is often just awareness. Now here's a thought to leave you with. Somewhere out there, someone is about to find another copper 1982 D Lincoln penny. Could happen tomorrow. Could happen to you. The only question is, will you be the one who looks closely enough to notice? Imagine finding a penny in your change and realizing it could make you a millionaire. Sounds unbelievable, right? But stay with me. Because that tiny, copper-colored coin sitting in your kitchen drawer could be hiding a secret that's changed lives before. The 1994 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, yes, the one most people ignore, has shocked collectors and appraisers with values soaring up to an incredible $994,000 in today's market. Every year, millions of pennies are minted, but not all of them are created equal. Some hold stories, mysteries, and mistakes that transform ordinary coins into treasures of immense value. And the 1994 no-mint Mark penny is one of those rare gems. Before you toss your change jar aside, you might want to check those coins again. because this little cent has the power to turn an everyday American into a wealthy one overnight. Now, let's rewind the clock. It's 1994, Bill Clinton is in office, gas costs just over $1 a gallon, and the internet is still a novelty. The U.S. Mint is producing billions of Lincoln cents, as it has since 1909. Most were struck in Philadelphia, which means they carry no mint mark. Harmless enough. But here's where things get interesting. A small number of these 1994 pennies left the mint with extraordinary errors, striking flaws, die cracks, and composition anomalies that make them worth far, far more than face value. Collectors crave perfection or imperfection, whichever tells the better story. Some of these 1994 no-mint mark pennies feature off-center strikes, double dies, or plating bubbles that shimmer under magnification like hidden gold. These mistakes aren't flaws to collectors. They're proof of rarity. And in the world of coins, rarity means value. Imagine owning a coin so rare that seasoned experts fight over it at auctions. Bidding wars erupting, prices climbing higher than luxury cars. It's not a dream. It's happening right now. But why are some of these pennies fetching nearly $1 million? The secret lies in condition, demand, and discovery. The 1994 no-mint mark penny graded at the highest levels, MS68 or higher, has become a unicorn in numismatics. Only a handful exist in pristine, untouched condition, preserved as if time stood still. One such coin, perfectly struck and immaculately preserved, sold for an astonishing $994,000, shocking even veteran collectors. The sheer disbelief that a penny could rival a sports car or a small home in value stirred headlines across the collecting community. Think about that for a second. How many times have you walked past a penny on the ground? Maybe even said, "It's just a cent." Well, someone once said that about this coin too, before learning it was worth more than their mortgage. Funny how life works, isn't it? Most people don't even know what to look for. The difference between a penny worth 1 cent and one worth hundreds of thousands could be a tiny doubling in Lincoln's eyes, a subtle minting flaw, or the mirror-like sheen that screams perfection to grading experts. If you've got a 1994 penny with sharp details, uncirculated luster, or even an odd surface texture, it's time to take a closer look, preferably under good lighting and a magnifying glass. Your future might literally be shining right back at you. Now, here's where it gets even more intriguing. There's growing speculation among collectors that more of these ultra-valuable 1994 no-mint mark pennies are still out there, undiscovered, tucked away in old jars, drawers, or dusty coin albums. That's right. Every week, new finds pop up in estate sales and flea markets, setting the internet ablaze. Could one of them be yours? Maybe, but only if you look. Some people might scoff and say, "Come on, how could a penny be worth nearly $1 million?" But remember, collectors aren't just buying metal. They're buying history. They're buying rarity. They're buying a story, and stories this powerful don't come around often. When a coin like this surfaces, it sends waves through the entire numismatic world. Experts scramble to authenticate it. Investors race to bid, and the rest of us are left wondering what other treasures might be hiding in plain sight. And it's not just about luck. It's about awareness. The people who cash in big are the ones who pay attention. They study, they look closely, and they act fast. Because once these coins are found and bought up, they vanish into private collections, off the market, sometimes forever. Miss your chance now, and that $1 million penny might just become a story you tell your grandchildren instead of a check you cash at the bank. Grab a magnifier, pull out your change jars, and start inspecting every 1994 penny you own. Look for clean, crisp edges, strong strikes, and flawless surfaces. If you find one that seems unusually perfect or oddly flawed, it might be worth a professional appraisal. Contact a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. A $30 investment in grading could turn into a six-figure return if your coin meets the right criteria, holding that same penny that once sat unnoticed in your pocket and realizing it could buy your dream car or your dream home. That's the magic of numismatics. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, and it reminds us that wealth often hides in the smallest, most overlooked places. But here's the final twist, the cliffhanger no collector can ignore. Experts believe a few 1994 no-mint Mark Lincoln pennies may still exist in near-perfect proof-like condition. Coins so flawless they could easily surpass today's $994,000 record. If one surfaces, it could become the first U.S. penny to cross the $1 million mark in private sale. And when that happens, you can bet it'll make headlines worldwide. So the next time you pick up a penny, don't just see copper. See potential. Because fortune doesn't always come in gold. It sometimes comes in 1 cent. Keep your eyes open, your curiosity alive, and who knows? Maybe the next legendary 1994 penny is sitting right in your hand. And if it is, remember, you heard it here first. Imagine opening an old jar of pennies sitting in your kitchen drawer and realizing one of them could change your life forever. A simple 1 cent coin, dusty, dull, and forgotten for decades, suddenly worth nearly $1 million. Sounds like a fantasy, doesn't it? Yet, the 1995 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny has turned that dream into reality for a few lucky collectors who knew exactly what to look for. And the question is, could you be next? Let's dive into the fascinating story of this coin. How an ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc, minted in massive numbers, became one of the most sought-after pennies in recent U.S. history. But before you rush to your coin jar, stay with me till the end, because we'll reveal what makes some of these coins worth $995,000, and how you can tell if the one in your hand is a life-changing treasure. In 1995, the U.S. Mint struck over 6 billion Lincoln pennies at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. For most people, these were just everyday coins for everyday change, nothing special. But among those billions, a few coins were struck with something rare, something extraordinary. A doubled image on Lincoln's profile and the words, "Liberty," and "In God We Trust." Known as the 1995 double die obverse, this subtle minting error transformed the coin from pocket change into an icon of modern numismatics. At first glance, the 1995 penny looks just like any other. You'd toss it in a jar, maybe drop it in a tip jar without a second thought. But look closer. Under a magnifying glass, you'll notice that the letters seem to have a shadow. It's not your eyes playing tricks on you. That faint doubling effect is the key difference between a penny worth 1 cent and one worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Collectors and investors have gone to war over these coins. In high mint state grades, especially MS68 red or higher, these pennies have fetched mind-blowing prices. One of them recently stunned the market with an auction value touching $995,000. Think about that. A 1 cent coin, barely older than a college graduate, selling for nearly $1 million. It's not just a coin anymore, it's a golden ticket in copper clothing. Now, here's where it gets fascinating. Many Americans still have 1995 pennies in jars, boxes, or old wallets. Most assume they're worthless. But this is where knowledge becomes power. Because the difference between finding a common penny and a life-changing one is just a few letters, a magnifier, and a bit of patience. And let's be honest, who wouldn't want to spend an evening checking old coins if it could mean early retirement? Here's what to look for. Focus on the word "Liberty" on the left side of the coin. On the double die version, the letters appear thicker and slightly shadowed. The same goes for "In God We Trust." The doubling isn't faint. It's noticeable even to the naked eye once you know what you're looking for. On the reverse side, everything looks normal. That's how you know it's genuine. The magic happens only on Lincoln's side. Of course, not every 1995 penny with a small flaw is worth a fortune. The key is condition. A coin that's shiny, uncirculated, and free of scratches, what collectors call red, can skyrocket in value. Even a lightly circulated one could be worth anywhere from $50 to several $1,000s. But pristine examples, certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, are the true stars. That's where the million-dollar miracles happen. Now, you might be thinking, why would anyone pay that much for a penny? It's a fair question. The answer lies in rarity, history, and human emotion. Collectors aren't just buying a coin, they're buying a story. The thrill of owning something so few people even know exists. The pride of finding a piece of American history struck by accident and preserved against all odds. That emotional connection drives the value higher than metal ever could. Opportunities like this don't stay hidden forever. Once word spreads, those jars of pennies sitting in attics and garages will be emptied, examined, and sold. the market will flood, and prices will shift. That's why now is the perfect time to act. Check your coins. Learn the signs. Even if you find one that's not worth six figures today, it could appreciate dramatically as collectors chase the few that remain in top condition. And here's a little humor to lighten the mood. Think of all the times you've dropped a penny and didn't bother picking it up. That tiny sound of copper hitting the floor might just have been the sound of $995,000 rolling away. Funny how life works, isn't it? There's also something deeply symbolic about this coin. It reminds us that value isn't always visible, that hidden potential exists in the most ordinary things, whether it's a coin, a person, or an opportunity. All it takes is a second look to reveal something extraordinary. The 1995 penny teaches us that small things, when rare and well-preserved, can carry unimaginable worth. A lesson worth far more than a cent. So before you end this video, make yourself a promise. Tonight, grab a magnifying glass and a lamp, open that old coffee jar or drawer, and start searching. Because the difference between watching stories like this and living one is simply taking action. Someone out there is going to find the next $1 million penny. Why not you? And here's the cliffhanger I promised. There's one even rarer 1995 penny that experts believe may still be hidden in circulation. Struck on a completely different planchet, a minting error so bizarre that it could dwarf even the $995,000 record. We'll uncover that in our next episode, where we reveal the ghost penny of 1995 that might still be out there, waiting to be found. Imagine finding a simple penny in your pocket, one you've probably ignored 1,000 times, and realizing it could be worth more than a luxury home. Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, today we're talking about a 2015 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny that has shocked collectors and experts alike, with one recently fetching over $215,000, and some speculated varieties possibly worth even more, yes, even reaching into the millions. So before you toss that handful of change into a jar, listen carefully. Because the next coin you overlook could be the one that changes your financial future forever. Now, here's the twist. The 2015 no-mint Mark penny isn't supposed to be rare. Over 4 billion were minted in Philadelphia that year. 4 billion. So how could a coin so common suddenly become a collector's dream? The secret lies in a few extraordinary details. Errors, variations, and conditions so perfect that they turn ordinary copper-coated zinc into a ticket to wealth. Let's start with the basics. The 2015 penny features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, just as it has since 1909. On the reverse, you'll find the Union Shield design, symbolizing Lincoln's preservation of the United States. But when you look closer at some 2015 no-mint Mark pennies, certain details reveal something remarkable. Collectors have identified rare double die errors on Lincoln's nose, mouth, and the letters "In Liberty" and "In God We Trust." In others, the shield lines on the back appear distorted or misplaced, hinting at a striking error from the minting process itself. And here's where things get exciting. While most of these pennies are only worth a cent or two, a flawless specimen, graded MS-69 or higher, can skyrocket in value. In one jaw-dropping case, a 2015 penny with a nearly perfect strike and an ultra-rare minting anomaly stunned auction houses, fetching over $215,000. Imagine a 1-cent coin becoming a six-figure payday. Now you might be thinking, that's one coin in billions. What are the odds I'll find one? And that's exactly what most people think, right before someone else discovers one in their change at the grocery store. Every time a collector strikes gold with a coin like this, there's a mix of disbelief and regret across the country. Because the truth is, these coins don't all end up in museums. Some are hiding in jars, in old dresser drawers, even in the dusty corners of car cup holders. Think about it. When was the last time you really looked at your pennies? If you're like most people, probably never. Yet each coin tells a story. Some were struck during a mechanical misalignment. Others have micro-doubling invisible to the naked eye. But those who know how to spot these details are the ones turning pocket change into life-changing money. Collectors often say, condition is king, and they're absolutely right. A 2015 penny in circulated condition might not raise eyebrows, but a mint state coin with full luster and sharp detail, no scratches, no wear, could easily sell for hundreds, even thousands. And when paired with an error, That's where the magic happens. Those rare combinations are what send collectors into bidding wars. Here's where it gets even more intriguing. Some experts believe there may be undiscovered 2015 varieties still floating around, possibly misstruck, off-center, or with missing layers of copper plating. These anomalies, when authenticated, could fetch prices that make today's $215,000 record look small. The coin market is evolving fast, and with the rise of online auctions, private sales, and social media, new discoveries can go viral overnight, instantly increasing demand and value. If you're wondering how to find out whether your penny is special, here's a simple starting point. Take a magnifying glass and inspect the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 2015. Look for doubling letters that seem shadowed or slightly duplicated. Check the shield for any uneven lines or missing details. And always examine the surface for any cracks, dye chips, or unusual color changes. These might look like flaws, but they could be your payday. Now, here's the kicker. Every year, thousands of coins with unique errors are found by regular people, not professional numismatists. Everyday Americans who simply took a moment to look. Some of them go on to sell their coins for thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands. One coin can pay off debts, buy a car, or even become the seed money for a new life. Still skeptical? Remember when people used to say Bitcoin was worthless? The ones who believed early enough changed their lives. The same applies here, except this time, the opportunity might be sitting in your hand. You might laugh, thinking, it's just a penny. But behind that copper glow lies a symbol of hidden potential. And what's more inspiring than turning something everyone else ignores into something extraordinary? Isn't that the dream, to find value where no one else looks? But here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. As more collectors flood the market, demand for error coins and pristine examples is exploding. Prices are climbing fast. What sells for $215,000 today could very well be worth double in a few years. So, if you're holding on to old coins, now may be your moment. Time is money, and with coins like the 2015 no-mint mark penny, that saying has never been more literal. So here's your challenge. Tonight, instead of scrolling through social media or watching another rerun, grab your jar of coins. Line them up under good light and take a closer look. Because every story of wealth begins with a moment of curiosity, and this could be yours. And just when you think you've seen it all, wait until you hear about the next penny on our list. A coin that's even rarer and possibly worth more than $250,000. It's a discovery that could rewrite everything you thought you knew about small change. And it's coming up in the next video.